The Honourable Governor for West New Britain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I give my little contribution, let me also congratulate yourself, Mr. Speaker and Deputy Speaker, for being elected unopposed. And again, our Honourable Prime Minister, in the same manner, being elected as unopposed. And also congratulate our Deputy Prime Minister, and I congratulate the opposition leader, Honourable Member for Kent and Gloucester, our brother from Kent and Gloucester, being elevated as leader for opposition, who is an economist by himself. I'm sure he will contribute to a meaningful contribution to this 11th Parliament as being opposition leader. Mr. Speaker, I join my colleague Governor Bird to also congratulate the hardworking treasurer who had sleepless nights in the last few weeks to bring this record level supplementary budget in a short period of time. I thank his team, himself and his team, for their hard work to bring this supplementary budget to share the additional revenues equally to all the province. I also thank him for supporting all the new 7 districts established. Same time, I thank sincerely Marape Basel government that time for having passed these additional 7 electorates, and now the treasurer allocating fundings for this additional electorate, and also supporting all the provinces and districts, the 118 members, with additional 2 million support in terms of support improvement program, which will give them the jumpstart, especially for our new members of parliament, to immediately start their work. As Governor Bird also mentioned, in the midst of such gloomy and uncertain economy, and if we as a country, we can survive this pressure immediately after from COVID, and also the economic downturn, especially mainly caused by this fight between Russia and Ukraine, which causes exponential rise of fuel prices. And I thank the treasurer for his wisdom to reduce that excise duty and tax on fuel. Mr. Speaker, we also need to ensure that this reduction of prices translates to people, that we can ensure that the prices are reduced by those retail service stations and the wholesale of fuel, because as we experience, the fuel cost is still very high. And that is also one of the contributing factor, Mr. Speaker, for the PNG powers struggling also. If it is due to maintenance issue or engine fault, we can understand, but most of the time these blackouts also caused by not shortage of fuel, but a lack of fuel to manage all those provincial service stations. Unfortunately, many provinces, we are still depending on diesel. This also, it's a sign that we should actually switch to renewable energy, where we can either go through support this biogas plant in West New Britain, or whichever province which has the potential to generate renewable energy, we should support, so that we can come out of this fuel. And Mr. Speaker, this fuel price is not going to go down. And I won't be surprised even a barrel goes even up to $200 or $300. And that is what is going to happen. And in spite of all those renewable energy initiatives, for next 100 years, we are still going to depend on this fuel to run the economies, factories, and everything. So it is extremely important how we can secure this fuel cheaper for fueling our economy. That we should also open up market. Look at, for the example, like how India, every country has to give priority to its own welfare, irrespective of whatever bilateral, multilateral agreement and all those things. India goes all the way to Russia to buy fuel on discount so that they can reduce the fuel prices. And we are of no exemption. We should also explore those areas as to how we can bring fuel cheaper. We can get fuel from those big economies and in a discounted price, which will directly help our people. And it is also a record level of GDP growth, Mr. Speaker, in the last 3 years, especially from 2020. There is a huge jump of almost 27.6 billion since 2020. And that's a significant growth which also need to be seen and translated in the well-being of our people. And I also thank the treasurer for lifting the threshold of our minimum wage earners, like from 17,500 to 20,000. Of course, 21 kina, 15 toya per fortnight from a tax payment is a huge saving. And one of the most important factor, Mr. Speaker, I feel that we should give emphasis and even fund is the revenue measures. Revenue measures not just at national level and also at provincial level. Because many times we underplaying the provinces. We forget that when the province grows, when the provincial economy grows, the country's economy also grows. If there are provinces in the name of equal distribution, we always want, if some provinces want to run, let them run. If some wants to walk, they can walk. Some wants to crawl, they can crawl. So we cannot expect all of them to run, all of them to, just because some wants to run, some wants to crawl, you tell the guy who wants to run also to follow, to crawl again. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to create some provinces as an economies. You think of Bali Island. Why people are going to Bali Island? Many may not even know that they are going to Indonesia. They think Bali is like a country itself. And being named for famous tourist destination, people going because that economy is developed as a tourist destination. So when you grow any particular province as a tourist destination, agriculturally, agriculture investment destination, then we can grow that particular province. If the investment environment is conducive for foreign direct investments to come, that's how we can promote. How Bali been promoted, and there's a huge influx of tourists going to Bali. As soon as you lift the COVID, everyone rushed to Bali. Likewise, we have such potential. How do we attract tourists? If we have our airfares are so high. Mr. Speaker, the funny thing is, I can go to Brisbane for 700 kina one-way ticket, but I cannot go to Hoskins for 700 kina. Hoskins one-way ticket is 876.90. If you guide two-way, it's like 1,770 kina something. Going to Brisbane one-way is cheaper than going to Kimbe. So these are some of the factors we also need to look into, how the foreigners want to come as tourist destination, and they know it's not, we are not talking about quantity tourism, but quality tourism, but still how we can make these prices affordable for tourists, especially to explore the provinces, because when people come to see Port Moresby and they think that is Papua New Guinea, then it is a big injustice to our people and our country and our potential actually, because Port Moresby is a capital, and you can't really say that this is a real Papua New Guinea unless otherwise the tourists can visit those active volcanoes or fast-flowing rivers and the mountains and experience that cool breeze, then they can really feel what is PNG. We are fortunate and blessed by God with all the resources. We have agriculture resource, we have oil and gas, we have free-flowing waters, we have hydro potential and everything. Tell me what resources we do not have in this country. And yet we have to remain dependent on many other countries, Speaker, but this is a positive sign. I see that we have the potential to grow our economy, and we need to emphasize the important revenue measures. Mr. Speaker, that reminds me to also, to remind the Honorable Treasurer that we can actually address this issue while bringing this 2023 budget. Mr. Speaker, I remember that when I first came into Parliament in 2012, I was sitting in opposition, having no knowledge about what parliamentary procedures and all those things. And I remember that 2013 budget was presented by the current Higher Education Minister, Honorable Don Pole. At the time, he was then Treasurer. And there was, whenever you bring budget, Mr. Speaker, you will have a huge volumes of books and various amendments and all those things. And it is not easy for anyone to really fully understand. And being in opposition, I didn't have any clue. And at the time, based on some advice from some consultants from Treasury, the Treasury amended the Intergovernment Relations for Functions and Funding Act 2009. It was amended in 2012, amended in such a way that if any provincial government receives any form of additional revenue, then they will be disqualified for this GST component. The GST component, which is rightfully belongs to province, thanks to the current Morobe governor, when he was governor, when the matter went to court, and it was awarded in favor of provincial governments for entire GST to be given, and based on the gentleman agreement with the current governor Morobe and also our late Grand Chief, that it was shared as 60-40. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, at the time, the late former Chief Secretary, Sir Manasupe, who was very instrumental, who is very passionate about the provincial government systems, who came physically to West New Britain with some Australian consultants, in the quest for, it's Mr. Speaker, though I'm speaking in perspective of my province, but it is applicable to every province. And if we are not addressing it, and he introduced some income generating measures. For example, we started taxing on dangerous goods. We call dangerous goods 20 toya per bottle of beer, 3 toya per stick of cigarette, 5 kina per liter of alcohol. We call it dangerous good because 99% of all the accidents in the province is happening, it's all alcohol related. So we were able to generate in 2011 and 2012 roughly around 2 to 3 million kina. And no drunkard or no people who drink ever complained, or no business houses ever complained about this 20 toya per bottle of beer. You say, all Sparkman, you know, say, very low, price low, this la beer. Is there Sparkman say complain low beer too? Even some man like beer too, all by buying free. So, Mr. Speaker, we were generating the 2 to 3 million kina revenue. Why would anyone in the right frame of mind would jeopardize the income generating potential of the subnational government by introducing an amendment to say that amended that Intergovernment Relations Functions and Funding Act in such a way that if you receive any form of revenue, then you will disqualify your GST. Of course, apparently the GST component is much higher than this beer tax. The beer tax is only 2 million, whereas the GST is 10 million. So we do not have that capacity, and we were not brave enough to say, yes, you know, you can take your GST and we can go and collect our own provincial sales tax, because lack of capacity within the provincial administration system. So when IRC wrote a letter to us, say that, look, you have to stop collecting this 2 million. So we stopped collecting that 2 million since 2012 until now. That means that 2 million or 3 million could have directly gone to our provincial health authority or main hospital to address those issues, especially mainly those accidents and all those things is happening because of this alcohol related. I sincerely and honestly appeal that we repeal this particular amendment so that we adhere to the main constitution, the organic law on provincial and local level governments, which authorizes any provincial governments and local level governments to generate any form of revenue. This matter can be subject to court reference to, Mr. Speaker, which, I mean, this is like jeopardizing that provincial government and local level government's ability to generate revenue. And here we are telling that every province should work hard to bring revenue and generate revenue. And so then we should actually repeal this one so that we can go back, and every province is different. If you come, you want to drink beer in my province, yes, you pay extra 20 toya. You don't want to charge in Port Moresby, or then you don't have to charge. Or you go to ECP, there is no tax for beer, then so be it. So it depends on each provincial measures as to how we can support. And again, Mr. Speaker, to bring foreign direct investment, we have to invest also in law and order that Governor Ipatas passionately speaks about. Mr. Speaker, I feel guilty. I cannot do anything when my people get attacked. It's not that the elites gets attacked, because we have a sophisticated, cars or securities or whatever, we can avoid places, whereas these small people, where they live, all no got narapla choice, all must go back after finish work, all must go back this lahab. And they were the ones cornered and attacked by these so-called criminals or rascals or whatever. So I can remember that Gandhiji's quote, he says like, India is not independent until such a time, because the place India also wearing plenty gold. All rascal man have pine dish like gold. So suppose one pla Mary wearing plenty gold, inonapla walk about freely, safely in the middle of night, now go home. Then we are not treated as independent. Likewise, if we cannot protect our innocent citizens, then we can't call ourselves we got freedom. Because all man Mary porenasta. So how we cannot jeopardize their freedom just for protecting or not doing anything about these few criminals or few rascals. So I also appeal that we support our the internal security minister who looks after police. He needs greater support from all of us so that we can bring a conducive environment in our provinces, in our country, to attract foreign direct investments, because that's what everyone wants. That's what we also labeled so badly, that we are one of the high-risk country, and they keep promoting this high-risk country in their website and all those things. Me surprised too. Recently, time you go looking on the website, China talk, PNG is a great country, very safe. Everything is safe. Everything is positive. But whereas some other country, me open website, also no can go to this country, Yamba, you are on your own risk. You must register yourself, kind something. Yeah? Speaker, these are perception issues we also need to address as some of our own close friends, branding us as we are a high-risk country, and also that they can keep getting their high-risk allowance or whatever allowance you call it. And I can't see some of them are protected, even one car going in the front, one car going at the back with private securities. And of course, this is a great opportunity for all security companies to flourish and make money from some of these foreign investments, because of the perception issue as how. Once in a while, if some bad incidents happening, we can understand. Speaker. We can't feel all the time that you must take in precaution, you must worry lo car, you must worry lo all that or something. That's not a good feel for us to give it to our own people and even tourists or anyone. So that we need to sincerely address. Another thing is, Mr. Speaker, I thank Treasurer for increasing that 201 million kina. Especially there are some cost overruns for those additional teachers employed in various provinces. I can't remember clearly what exact number in my province, that additional cost which we supposed to pay our teachers. But of course, we can't jeopardize those teachers who have actually contributed. And some of them, when I meet them in a remotest part of like Kent and Gloucester, they've not been paid for almost over 2 years. And they are still serving. And they are not even my own people in the province. Some are from Highlands, some are from remotest part of Western province and all. They're still sitting and serving. And I'm thankful that the Treasurer addressing, and I'm sure I hope that the Department of Education, honor some of those teachers' pay which we haven't paid over a period of time. Overall, Mr. Speaker, I sincerely thank the hardworking Treasurer for his utmost effort, always trying to be transparent as to what exactly happening, as to what exactly the denounce. One small thing is also, Mr. Speaker, even at the provincial level, there are so many payments they are writing in, and in that they all put in also some commitment or court order payments and all those things. Some, going back to 2010, 2013 and all those things. I think in our case also we should actually refer back or having a committee to properly check whether these are genuine court orders or not. Sometimes we also find there are some fake court orders also end up. Time imi look him seal blow court order ya imi pour it no good through. I'll by come threaten him even lo me alta also kavana suppose clear him this la something na endorse him this la all by karabushim. So you by pour it time all call him name blow code. You by pour it the song tagol some pay him. But it's not small amount. Even at a provincial level, they are saying, Mipla got 8 million kinat enough. Look, kind hire car company, kind something. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, provincial electoral manager, I'm selling text, and I'm crying no good through all through my stone law office blong try attack him na disla because all no electoral commission, pay him disla allowances blong all na disla. Though I mean no responsibility below provincial government, because you may give him record level of funding to electoral commission. So we also would like to know one exact amount being allocated for all those allowances so that we can address at provincial level, because no good all by kisi money law electoral commission ben asking money can law provincial administration na this. So that one area we need to address. But I'm thankful for our Treasurer for bringing this supplementary budget to support us and to give immediate jumpstart for all our new members, and also addressing the inflation issues by reducing or increasing that the limit for minimum tax from 17,500 to 21,000. I thank the Treasurer and government for this supplementary budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.